I'm Jim Phillips. You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. Sunday, May 21st. Tonight will mark the conclusion of a 43-year run for Gerald Dyck as director of the New Bedford Choral Society. It's quite a tenure, even for a part-time job. However, it has been a labor of love for Mr. Dyck. He joins us now to speak about his life and his love for music. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
So how did this all start? It most probably started with home and parents and education, I would suppose.
Well, I grew up into a musical family. My dad could play the piano, and we could all sing, and we would have a lot of good times singing around the piano. My dad would accompany, and there's one song especially he would play that I thought was a really razzle-dazzle piece, Robin's Return, a lot of fast notes.
Yeah.
Whenever he sat down to play that, I would come running from whatever corner of the yard I was playing and had to sit down and listen to that. So then I went into a music major in high school and college. After college, I got a job teaching music in a rural school in northern Thailand. And I was there for 3 years, returned to the United States, got a master's degree in choral music, pardon me, and then returned to Thailand and taught in a nearby town. I was married then. 2 daughters came with us, and 2 more were born in Thailand. And after that tenure, during that tenure, I did a lot of research into the ethnic music of the northern Thai people, and that was the subject of the article that you had open there. So, but my main job was to teach in a school called Thailand Theological Seminary, which had a music department where musicians were trained for for teaching music in Christian schools and churches around the country. Then came home and got a job at Bluffton College in Bluffton, Ohio. Mm-hmm. I taught vocal and choral music there for a couple of years. And one night in 1974, spring of 74, I got a phone call. Hello, this is Randy Shaw from Dartmouth, Massachusetts. We've heard about you, and there's an opening for a choral conductor here, the Greater New Bedford Choral Society. Mm-hmm. Well, I had some friends in Dartmouth that I'd met in various musical circles, so I gave it some thought, and I gave him the yes answer. And in September 1974, I began my tenure with the Choral Society.
And that's how you arrived here on the South Coast. Certainly, right. It was an interesting start to this. You ended up teaching music in schools, in Dartmouth public schools.
Yeah, I began at Dartmouth Middle School.
Yep.
And then after about 7 years, I was transferred to elementary school, DeMello and Cushman. And those were very happy years. I bonded very well with the younger students who were very eager to learn and had very lovely singing voices and good attitude toward making music.
A lot like you when you were young.
Well, I hope so. I think that might be it.
Yeah. What is it about teaching music? I suppose, like any other subject, having willing students,
right,
eagerness to learn.
Right.
That's it, isn't it? That's
at the elementary level, I found it's about 99% of the students were willing to learn, and so that's very good. And although music was a very important subject in schools, it was not considered an academic subject. In other words, you couldn't be held back for flunking out of music. but that rarely happened. That didn't really wouldn't have happened anyway. But yeah. Yes, we had a lot of good music making, singing concerts, and we did some shadow puppet dramas, and we did The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, all with shadow puppets, and Ichabod throwing the pumpkin. That was a big highlight.
Bet it was.
And I also went over to the Dartmouth High School and was just the choral conductor there for 3 years. And then I zoomed back to Cushman or DeMello School to resume the other work. So
Sure.
that was good.
When you signed on to lead the New Bedford Choral Society in the 70s, what really was the attraction? What made you say, yeah, I think I would enjoy this?
Well, the New Bedford Choral Society, the Greater New Bedford Choral Society, had begun as an expansion of the church choir at the First Unitarian Church in New Bedford. Some of the members of that church choir wanted to expand their scope and to sing large classical choral works in a community setting. And so Ron Isaacs was the first person who developed that. And I came, I think that was in 1965, was their first concert. So 8 years later, during those 8 years, they had 2 or 3 different directors. And then from 1974 on, it was me. And we did some classical choral works. We sang pieces by Purcell. We did Messiah several times, even at the Zeiterion Theater. We did many masses of Haydn and choral works by Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Carmina Burana by Karl Orff a couple of times with Cast of Thousand. And, well, we cooperated once with Sipican. We cooperated twice with University of Dartmouth chorus. And those were always really exciting times. About 15 years ago, I decided to try my hand at composing some music for the Choral Society. Mm-hmm. And I've written about a dozen major works to be premiered by our singers.
This might be a good time to add that your final concert with the Greater New Bedford Choral Society is tonight, First Unitarian Church. Tickets are $15 at the door, and there are still tickets available. The First Unitarian Church is located at the corner of County and Union Streets in New Bedford. Youngsters under 12 are free.
12 and under, actually.
12 and under, I
yeah.
just said. You're listening to Townsquare Media. My name is Jim Phillips. My guest is Gerald Dyck, who's the director of the New Bedford Choral Society. Are you still going to keep your hand in? Are you still going to do some work with the Choral
after
Society?
I retire, after this last concert, I will continue on as music director of the Congregational Church of South Dartmouth, where I lead a small choir and play the organ. So I hope to continue that. And then I'll find other musical projects to do. There's a lot of unfinished musical research to do with all the tapes and CDs that I brought back from northern Thailand. Mm-hmm. I hope to continue working on those and making them more available and understandable for students and scholars here around the world.
Highlights with the Choral Society. Give me a couple of things that you really enjoyed doing with the Choral Society.
Well, if I think back, I remember it was in my first or second year, we did a cantata by Henry Purcell called Come Ye Sons of Art. It had a small orchestra, soloists, and it was about a 40-minute work. And I remember being so pleased that I had studied it so carefully that I conducted the whole thing without any open book in front of me. And I conducted the whole thing by memory. That's a sign of careful preparation. Some other highlights were, singing at the Zeiterion Theater with the New Bedford Symphony. We did Messiah a couple times. We did, under F. John Adams, we sang the Sea Symphony by Ralph Vaughan Williams. We did Verdi's Requiem and several other really exciting things over at St. Anthony's with F. John Adams. My wife Helga and I had been in Wales, and I'd been smitten with the strangeness and the beauty of the Welsh language. And so I did a crash course in Welsh language and took a Welsh poem called The Builders, Yr Adeiladwyr, and wrote that into a 45-minute cantata for instruments and chorus and solo. We even had a native Welsh narrator to narrate the poem. And it was a tragedy about an old folks' home in the town of Aberdare that was being razed to make room for the government to make more administrative buildings. Dozens of elderly folks were turned out to find their own places. And so it's a song about the tragedy of unfeelingness, of not caring, people who care and people who don't care. There's a line that says, "The bulldozer bellied its way up our street as cold as an army invading a town." And I thought of a rhythm that sounded like a bulldozer, boom, 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 jumping around town. And that was, we performed that work twice. Another highlight was my cantata called The Beatitudes, the Teachings of Jesus, coupled with Psalms from the Hebrew Bible. And lately, since 2006, we've performed, this will be the second time we'll perform these two cantatas of mine with texts by John Milton. In 1632, he wrote two poems called L'Allegro and Il Penseroso, which means the joyful person and the thoughtful person. And these two poems chronicle the joys of the daytime hours and then the other one, the nighttime hours.
Yeah.
And all the beauty of the day and of the night, as the old hymn says. And these are the core of the concert tonight at the Unitarian Church.
Gerald Dyck, who is the conductor of the Greater New Bedford Choral Society, his last concert is tonight. Tickets are $15 at the door, First Unitarian Church, County and Union Streets in New Bedford. Mr. Dyck, thank you very much for your contributions to the community.
You're welcome.
And though that they have not been small, and you have certainly aided culture in New Bedford, in Greater New Bedford. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Well, thank you. I want to say a big word of tribute to all the members who give of their hard work, our board of directors, our and all the people who do all the things that need to be done for a concert. It's truly a labor of love on their part. Carrying risers, doing advertisements, posters, writing grants, and it's just a wonderful, they have a wonderful devotion to the spiritual side of singing as well as the social aspects of getting together to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Dyck, for your time today and your contributions to our community.
There will also be a few moments of levity in the concert, and it's not all heavy, long-haired stuff. We end with one song from Alice in Wonderland about the lobster quadrille, the lobster dancing on the shore, and another one by Antonin Dvorak, the parody on Humoresque. So there will be a few light moments too.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much. My thanks to Mike Roberts and Casey Sylvia here at WBSM. Without their efforts, this program would not get on the air. I'm Jim Phillips. Join us next week for Townsquare Sunday. Until then, have a wonderful Sunday and a great week.